better than Overgrowth.
Yeah,
so.
it's not so bad that
No.
we like look at it and go, okay, this is a Protoss graveyard or something like that. But between these two maps, without remembering who picked or vetoed which, I would venture a guess that HuK picked Frost and viOLet now picked Overgrowth, just because of the tendencies of the maps. But I'll tell you, even playstyle-wise, of the players who I would put on a fairly bad map for Protoss and still give a pretty good chance to win, it's HuK. He likes those gateway expands. He's capable of doing crazy 1 or 2 base cheesy stuff that kind of get around the fact that a lot of times a map that's bad for a Protoss is because of the third base. Very rarely is it the natural. Those maps, I don't know, what was that like? What was that desert map way back in Wings Liberty Day? Remember that? Desert Oasis, I think it was?
Yeah, Desert Oasis.
Where you're natural, you actually had to take like
in the left bottom?
Yeah, you had to take like a train trip over there, like a 2-hour trip. You're like, all right, I'm at my natural now. Those maps are long gone. Now we've
almost
adapted.
as bad as Slack Pits.
What was it?
Do you remember Slack Pits? Like the 4-player map?
Oh, 4-player maps?
Yeah.
No.
It was Slack Pit was horrible.
I didn't have enough friends to play on 4-player maps. I was a StarCraft 2 pro.
No, it was 1v1. It's a 1v1 map in the 1v1 map pool.
Slag Pits?
Yeah, it was only there for like 2 months because it was very bad.
I don't remember that.
It was really hard to take your natural on that one as well, and just to go anywhere beyond that, it was very wide open.
Well, if it was far back enough, Protoss didn't used to expand ever. We just 4-gated every game. So was it that far back?
Like slightly after that.
Oh, wow. Okay. So just in the sweet spot of when we did want to expand.
Yeah.
Enough about our badness. Let's go ahead and introduce these players. Leading 1-0. Now living in Atlanta, Georgia, where he works out all the time. You can tell because he's sexy as crap. It is viOLet. So handsome. So honey. Go ahead.
And of course, the blue Protoss spawning in the right top side of the map, representing the evil geniuses. He is HuK.
Also working out. Gets up from the computer, answers the door, and accepts the deliveried pizza. Handsome as all get out as well. Both these players, of course, big fan favorites. Again, love seeing viOLet back in the pro gaming scene. Hopefully he'll shake things up with his fast, aggressive play. I love it. That's how Zerg was meant to be played, if you would ask me. Super biased. But we do see
very
that,
greedy opening over here by HuK.
This is becoming more popular, Kevin. This is it gets you around building the Forge, which is one of the ways that Zerg kind of take that third with impunity. That they're not worried about. You're not going to attack if they see a Forge, other than the infamous Cannon Rush, which is, again, something Zerg should feel very comfortable against. But with that faster gateway, faster Cybernetics Core, faster Warp Gate.
Yeah, no, everything is faster. And besides Warp Gate, it's also just like if you want to go for any sort of other attack with a robo or whatever, you just have access to everything a little quicker. I personally never have the courage to do this build. And yes, guys, this is a risky build, no matter how you look at it, against the crazy 10-4 or like super quick speed.
Yeah, it's a dead Nexus.
Yeah, it's a dead Nexus and maybe even the end of the game.
Usually, that would follow up.
It was the other day, I watched someone play, I think it was Su against a really good Protoss, and it was the exact same scenario that Su went for a 10-4 and he was able to kill the Nexus. Either way, HuK has not scouted at all yet. viOLet did scout, so yes, he lost a little bit of economy early on by sending his drone across the map, but he saw what was going on. He's just like, all right, I'm going to react in the most economic way possible for me, and that is making one hatchery and even the second hatchery before he dropped the spawning pool.
And you bring up a really good point. I like that he's drone scouted, which, to your point, is a bit of a, that's something Zergs don't typically do because it does hurt their economy ever so slightly. But man, if there's ever a way to recoup your losses, it's 3 hatch before pool. That will absolutely, it's not even a leapfrog. That's like a quantum leap, if you will. It's gonna tell. I think I'm way too old to be making that joke for everybody. You gotta watch terrible 1980s television to get that joke, and if you did, you'll know. But HuK,
I didn't get it.
You didn't get that?
No.
You should definitely watch Quantum Leap. It'll change your life.
Maybe we just didn't have it at Dutch television.
Oh, probably not. You guys are all like, I don't know, looking at windmills or something. We do see some Zerglings coming out, though, from viOLet. And again, that's going to be that semblance of map control. This time around, we don't see speed, and there's no Gatsby in mind anytime too terribly soon. It should be fairly queen-heavy to open up because you want to connect the creep to that third. Because right now, of course, as we can see, there's no real danger of a gateway timing attack, but give it time. The warp gate is approaching 60%. There's a couple of gateways finishing up, and if you're not connected via creep, you are in trouble.
And is viOLet gonna see this probe that's somewhere around the right side of this map? He's really close, but he hasn't seen it just yet. And
Hiding in the jungle.
and that might be something that HuK could potentially work with. I'm still a little worried though for HuK, because yes, you know, the Nexus into gate first is an economic opening which allows you to put on some pressure, but he has seen absolutely nothing yet on the other side of the map.
It's gonna get scouted. The probe should sneak. Oh no!
This is bad.
viOLet's completely on top of it. The probe gets snuffed out.
Immediately.
Highland does get built behind this, but I'll tell you what. What's almost even more important, I do think that probe dying is actually cataclysmic for HuK's chances here. But we also see 3 of the 4 gateways being spotted. Now 4 gateways is a safe and good number. You can actually walk that with your motion port. You can do some very cool stuff. And then if things, you know, if the Zerg overreacts, you just recall back. That's not that bad. In fact, you could even just take a 3rd with that. And with this getting scouted and with the probe dying, well, no, there's 4 Zealots out there. Never mind, I'll just stop myself here. I was like, he could just take a 3rd, but no. Got to keep attacking.
I'm a little bit worried for HuK. I don't think it's going to be extremely successful. We already have the Roach Warren up. The first Roaches are on the production tab. Speed is more than halfway done. viOLet even felt confident enough to squeeze out a few more drones. Despite seeing that probe on the right side of the map, I'm a little bit surprised that viOLet didn't double check to see, you know, is there a pylon already or not?
Yeah, that's actually a really good point too, Kevin. I mean, it stands to reason that the potential is there. And while he did make his way to the natural to kind of bottleneck him, I mean, you're put in a spot where you either choose to kill more probes coming out to do that, or you stop the existing probes, perhaps a pylon. You can see that this 3rd Nexus will be challenged, and actually, quite frankly, with the number of Zerglings here, oh no, this
a lot of sentries, yeah.
Well, yeah, they're gonna save it, okay. It did cost 3 force fields, but since he's making it very obvious that right now he has no intention of attacking, that's fine, that's good use of force fields.
We see the Twilight Console also being warped in the main base of HuK and +1, and now the robotics facility as well. So it's going to be a little similar as in the previous game, despite not having a filled DT attack, or well, 3 Dark Templars killing 5 drones. That is basically a filled Dark Templar attack.
Which puts him in a much better position, if you ask me. I mean, we talked about this 3rd being kind of the linchpin for whether or not Protoss are favorable to a map or not, but that analysis aside, just the fact that he hasn't had a failed tech going into this means that HuK's in a much stronger position. I mean, just look at it. He's got a good base of sentries. The Robo's about to finish up. So he will have access to things like Unobserver and Immortals, things that you need to hold off the heavy Roach aggression. We see +1 range attack coming out for the Zerg player. All things considered, I mean, it's been a lot of lings. Well, I'm going to stop myself there. I was going to say, I think he's still going to go Roach, and he very well could. But with this Infestation Pit,
might be a little bit of everything.
It might be Viper, or it could be just right back to Swarm Host.
Yeah, I think we are going to see some Swarm Host. But I must say, despite, you know, maybe if you're a neutral viewer right now, you haven't played soccer, that might be like, oh, not a whole lot has happened this game. Actually, a lot has happened. Like, I think if HuK, you know, if those pylons would have gone undetected, he would have made a much bigger commitment. Then he wiped in the 4 Zealots. He showed the 4 Zealots on creep, still pretending like he wants to do something, but he was not being stubborn at all. This is not the old HuK who's still going to try to wipe in a crazy amount of units and is then surprised that it doesn't really work. But he actually went up to 3 bases very quickly while showing only the 4 Zealots and even going back with them, not even sacrificing them. So I must say that despite not a whole lot of action has happened, HuK made a couple of pretty good decisions.
That's a really good point, Kevin. I mean, if he would have stubbornly gone into that, I feel like I agree with you.
Wow. That's
he gets you some Roaches here, that's nice.
6.
And he did it with 2 Time Warps, which is kind of cute, because without that, they would have escaped. They would have got outside the range of the sentries there, but that's nice. The
other sentry was a little late to the party. He's like, I really want to drop some force fields too, so he just fired up a Guardian Shield.
I could do it. He could do something. As the game develops here, though, we do see it is Swarm Hosts. There's not much to support that. Like, a lot of times it's going to be Corruptors or, you know, sometimes Hydras, although that's not nearly as favorable. But viOLet's control made it work in game number 1. I was really worried about the counterattack Stalkers getting around and picking off those expensive Swarm Hosts, and that would really break the back of the Zerg force. But in this situation, just now the Robo Bay goes down. Can viOLet once again kind of reach back into his bag of control this time and say, yeah, I can get around that because I've got such fantastic army control?
What I think is going to be absolutely crucial for HuK right now is that he makes sure that those Swarm Hosts can just wheel across the map and then burrow very close to his base and start putting on the pressure. HuK needs to be active on the map right now. Does he have a wall up? Yes, he still does. Drop a force field, that's exactly what he does so far. Really solid play by HuK. HuK needs to make sure that these units stay at home for a long time. Because if they start being aggressive, it could get really tricky.
This is an interesting moment in time. We have a Roach Link counterattack, but at the same time, here comes HuK. He's going to jump on top of the Swarmos, but I don't think, yeah, there's the Observer. He's going to try to make it work right now, getting the force fields down. Meanwhile, the counterattack does seem to be kind of drying up, so if HuK can get something done, it's got to be now. He's looking to maybe get the sentries up the ramp.
That would be awesome. He still has a lot of force fields. A couple of these sentries are still alive. If HuK can make it into the main base with this many sentries, that is unlimited amount of force field for HuK.
And he did. He's up here, and he has, like Kevin said, enough sentries to make this go on forever. Unfortunately, the caboose of his force does die in the backfield, but this could potentially be a dead main, and that's a HIVE attempting to morph right now. Even a Warp Prism?
He didn't even need that. He still has plenty of force fields left, and he would have regenerated enough energy on the other ones.
Oh, wait, he warped? Yeah, well, he could recall out, I guess, but yeah, it's kind of scary at this point.
Yeah. It's a few more sentries than I think was necessary. I would rather see him save the gas for something else, but still, fantastic movement there by HuK. A couple of really good force fields, good decisions, walked up the ramp, even dropped those safety force fields over here to make sure.
You know what I like about this too, Kevin?
Tell me.
This is the reverse. In game number 1, the Swarmos popped out, and HuK didn't have enough time to react to him. Here, not only does HuK have enough time to react to it as we see a second robo being added, but it's viOLet who's having a tough time adapting. We surely don't see a Spire. We don't see... he won't have an answer for those Colossus. And if they get up to 4 or 6, that can be lights out.
I definitely think 6 is a magic number right now. With no HIVE tech on the way, that means no Vipers for viOLet or no access to Vipers for a long time. You know, yes, sure, Swarmos are good and all, but if you have 6 Colossus, I really think that HuK will be able to march across the map, push the Locust back. He has a ridiculous amount of sentries as well. How many do we currently have? 11. Well, so he can pop Guardian shields. Yes, force fields all day. I think this is HuK's game to lose right now.
Yeah, I have to agree. He's been staunch on these free bases, and I use the word staunch here because with that counterattack, one of the glimmers of hope you'd give to viOLet is, okay, well, did he kill a bunch of probes in the background? Did he snipe a third? The answer is no. He forced out cannons. Big freaking whoop.
Wow.
The third base has been mining this entire time, even only losing 1 Harvester, as we can see there from Rotterdam. HuK is in phenomenal position and now taking a 4th behind this while, and this is what I really like as well. Being aggressive with Blink Stalkers, it's very unlikely as long as you stay off of creep for them to get surrounded and killed in mass. You can lose a few, sure, but what they do is give you map control as the Protoss player.
Even getting the plasma shields as well. I would still like to see HuK, I don't know, use his real army soon, because the moment Vipers will join the battlefield, of course Vipers is not like this game-ending unit or something, but he actually might be able to get a 3 Swarmos here. No, he doesn't. But I really think it would have been a lot easier for HuK. How many Swarmos do we have? We have 13. I don't think that is the number that pushes back 200 supply of Protoss army with 6 Colossus.
It's closer to 20.
Yeah.
Around that is kind of the sweet number. But to your point, ask and you shall receive, Kevin, because here comes the Protoss Juggernaut. And I feel like what's kind of cool is that we saw, he's got to be careful not to lose. Oh gosh, turn around really quick. Is that HuK moved out with the Stalkers to kind of figure out if this is the time to move out with the whole army. And with this 4th going down behind this, viOLet's put between a rock and a hard place. He needs to find a way to deal with this army, but at the same time, the Protoss is looking to eclipse him in economy.
Here come all those Locusts though, and I think the Roaches are going to try to swing in from the back, but we have so many force fields, so HuK should see this coming as well with the Observer and the Mothership Core. More and more Swarmos. viOLet realizing that he needs units immediately and he cannot wait, so he made 7 more Swarmos, but so far the execution is really good for HuK.
It turns out 11 sentries can make for a lot of force fields, and that equals Zerg Tears. So those Roaches are just sitting on the outside looking in. And HuK is once again going to clamber up that ramp and perhaps capture for himself the main base once again. But honestly, as you were saying, the real damage has been done. The Swarmos got ran down. Roaches at this stage are very ineffective. As we can see, Colossus numbers a huge liability, of course, but also force fields just render them completely useless.
HuK with a lot of money in the bank as well. Of course, this is a very intense attack, and he wants to make sure he doesn't make it up. One Colossus really wants to join this party. The other one takes a lot of damage. You see that Colossus rocking out, man. He was raving.
The Roaches that got tired of smashing up against a force field are going to counterattack, and it looks like they will sniff out that 4th. This is honestly their best prey. Now, in the background, Kevin, we do have Vipers coming out, and while these Roaches, they're not great by themselves. We talk about support units. Vipers, if they don't have Templar to worry about for that feedback, they can bring a game back. I mean, without the Colossus, this Protoss army is not that scary.
No, I think HuK should cancel the Colossus right now and start making some Immortals. One Colossus is out of position, and it is going to fall. This is a great counterattack indeed by viOLet. Yeah, he will lose a bunch of Roaches in the process, but it's not the end of the world for him. I would love to see HuK make some Immortals right now. I really think that the Immortals are going to be important units for him.
That would not be bad. Immortals, of
Oh,
course.
he's going to try to catch all of this. Is really sick play by HuK.
Yeah.
He could have just recalled with his entire army, but he only recalled the sentries, and he walked down with the Colossus and the Stalkers. Wow, that was really well done. Very, very well done.
Very good point. I mean, Stalker's just blinking after him. Maybe they kill a few more, but because he made the choice to not recall out, he's able to get all of them. And that's, again, if you look at viOLet, he's not in a position that some Zergs are where they can lose roaches and they're like, yeah, whatever, I'm trying to trade out supply. He's gas-starved. At this point in time, he's mineral starved. That could be because he just made 21 drones. And unfortunately, if there was ever a time not to make 21 drones, not that, I don't know, he had better options, that would have been it, actually.
Well, that was a really sick play by HuK. I'm still surprised that he was able to jump on that opportunity that quickly. He's going to score. Oh my God, the barbecue. We are truly in the South.
We are in Texas after all.
I want to say the South, but it's not really the South, I guess.
And
either way.
He's going to try to make a stand of it. Nah, viOLet says, all right, I've had enough. We're going to go to game number 3. HuK ties up the series, and that was